Let's talk about GA4. First up, what is GA4? Well, it's the latest version of Google Analytics that was launched in October last year. For those who keep abreast with the analytics news, it's interesting how Google Analytics has evolved over time. Back in the day, I think it was 2005 when Google actually bought out an analytics provider called Urchin Analytics. A few years later, I think it was 3 years later, they renamed it to Classic Analytics, which was essentially GA2. And then I think about 2011, 2012, they launched or rebranded to Universal Analytics, the version that we're all used to using these days. And now we're up to GA4, which is the new shiny analytics platform that Google has launched. It's built to measure the modern day kind of user behavior and marketing practices and techniques and platforms that we are used to now. Over the years, obviously, the user behavior has changed significantly. It's no longer limited to a single device, single platform. People jump across different devices, different websites, different apps, different marketing channels they interact with. And this version of Google Analytics is Google's kind of latest attempt to track and measure all of these things in a single place. So, people like you and I and everyone else within various businesses can look at the data in a concise, consolidated manner. Privacy is a big thing these days, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger. The whole data privacy conversation, cookies being slowly kind of phased out, all of that has been taken into account whilst building GA4 by Google. It focuses a lot on privacy and data protection. There's a lot of settings that Google has actually added to the platform itself that helps you control how you want to distribute and collect data. Also, it has enhanced predictive abilities, according to Google, which is meant to fill in the gaps that are left by the deprecation of cookies. Essentially, there would be gaps in your conversion data, for example. Apple, for example, is purging cookies after 24 hours these days on the latest version of Safari. Google will follow probably suit at some point in time. This will mean gap in conversion tracking, and GA4 is supposedly going to tackle it by using the Google AI and machine learning algorithms that it has built over time. Cool. Moving on, GA4 versus Universal GA. What's new? I reckon the biggest kind of point of difference is how GA4 collects data, and it has a completely different measurement model in place for data collection. If you're a heavy user of Universal Analytics, you probably understand that the measurement in Universal Analytics works off a hit-based model, so everything is essentially a hit, whether it's a page view, a click or a download or whatever have you. But GA4 relies on something called an event-based model. Literally every interaction that happens on your website is treated as an event in GA4, whether it be a page view, whether someone clicking, scrolling, really just everything is an event, which does simplify quite a few things. A new measurement model does mean that comes with new additional metrics and dimensions. We've got a quick tour of the actual platform at the end of these couple of slides. So I'll take you through some of the new dimensions and metrics at that point in time. Speaking about the interface, it does have a new interface as well. Google's kind of kept some of the Universal Analytics features and format in place, but there's definitely quite a few things that are new in GA4 GA4's interface as well. As I mentioned earlier, it's basically built to measure and then analyze, look at your data in a single place. You don't have to jump between different accounts. For example, if you were running activity on websites and iOS and Android as well, GA4 has the capability for all of the data to be analyzed in the same place. There will be a lot more focus on insights. Again, I'll show you guys how this would probably work using Google's machine learning and AI capabilities. These features are still available in the Universal Analytics version as well, but according to Google, the GA4 platform is basically custom built to provide insights that are actually usable. So asking questions around your data would become a lot easier and then finding answers to them. It also has a debug mode in GA4 for those of you who are familiar with Google Tag Manager and have used the preview mode. It's something similar to that. You can actually debug all your events. For example, if you created an event, it wasn't really working properly, you can actually debug that particular event within the platform itself. So you don't have to really switch between platforms, which is pretty cool. And I think another big change or feature is linking to BigQuery is available in GA4, something that was exclusive to GA360 previously. BigQuery obviously is the data warehouse and much more a product by Google. It can become a very powerful kind of hub if you connect GA4 to BigQuery. For example, if you were to upload your CRM data via BigQuery into GA4, you can have a single place where all of your data sits from someone actually interacting with your ad, for example, to actually acquiring the customer, and then beyond that as well. Go quickly on why we should actually bother about GA4. As I said, over time, there's been different versions of Google Analytics. This is the 4th version. So the current or the version that's running in parallel, Universal Analytics, will be deprecated at some point of time. I do remember when Google was transitioning between Classic and Universal, there was a significant amount of time that both systems ran in parallel. I think it was probably 18 months to 2 years. But still, the quicker you set it all up, the better it is, because GA4 will become the standard kind of analytics version relatively soon. You want to set up really GA from day one, GA4 from really day one, because you want as much historical data as possible within your GA4 property. Google hasn't really said anything about whether GA4 will be able to backdate the data, but considering how it's built and how it's using a completely different measurement model with different depth metrics and dimensions, it's possibly unlikely that you'll be able to kind of just import data from Universal Analytics and then you'll have several years worth of data already in GA4. That doesn't look likely. So really, you should be all looking to implement it as soon as possible to get as much historical data as possible. Because the system is new, it's a new interface, new metrics and dimensions. There will be changes that you'll have to make to your systems if you're reporting off GA universal data. Maybe you should start thinking about how reports from GA4 would work like. There would be a learning curve for the teams and for everyone who's a regular user of analytics within your organizations to learn really how the platform works, where different reports are, etc. And the sooner you kind of get used to the system and everything else, the sooner you'll get over that learning curve. Google's mandate at the moment is that GA4 isn't really a finished product per se. You shouldn't really rely on GA4 for all of your reporting. Their recommendation is to run both GA4 and Universal Analytics parallel. Still rely on Universal Analytics for your reporting as you are doing right now, but then switch over to GA4 when everything is ready and Google has updated and enhanced all the reports within GA4. When we look at the interface in a minute or so, you'll find that there's not a lot that is available in GA4 at the moment. It's a very basic kind of platform, especially when you compare it against Universal Analytics. There's quite a lot that's still missing. So obviously Google's still working on adding all the reports, etc., to this version of analytics. Cool. Gonna quickly jump into the interface now. Hopefully all of you can still see my screen. All right, cool. So this is what GA4 looks like. Same but different, I'd say. There's the usual kind of left-hand navigation bar. Some of the sections are same as Universal, but there's a few that are different. For example, acquisition is something that you'd find in the Universal Analytics platform as well. So if you look at, for example, traffic acquisition under the new GA4 acquisition section, you'd find that it's very similar to the source medium report we're all used to looking at in Universal. There's a few, as I said, a few different metrics and dimensions are available because there's different sort of measurement model. So for example, engaged session is something that's new that people probably wouldn't have come across in Universal Analytics. Similarly, there are a few other metrics that are a bit different. Engagement section is probably equivalent to the behavior section that we are used to seeing in Universal. So if we go to the pages and screens section or report, you can see the report that you probably would be used to seeing in Universal. There's an interesting sort of setup here. For example, if you look at the event count, which is again a new metric available in GA4, because the whole environment is based on this measurement model, everything is really just an event. So you can select individual events underneath here. So if you want to look at how many clicks have happened on your site, scrolls, user engagements, first visits, page views, etc. So it will take a little bit of time to kind of get used to where everything is and how to kind of get to the reports that are used, that everyone is sort of used to getting to using the Universal version. So, but I'm sure once everyone kind of goes through everything, should be fine. If you look at demographics and the tech sections, I'll quickly go through this tech overview section, which is the equivalent of looking at device level report, device and platform level report, sorry, in Universal. This is what it looks like. And as you can see, these sections are very limited. There's only about 2 or 3 kind of subcategories under these sections compared to the Universal version where really there's a lot more available. So I think that's why Google is really saying don't rely on GA4 at the moment for all your reporting. Set it up and just let it collect data and then understand the platform, how it works, etc. There's a couple of changes that I wanted to show which are under the admin section. What you'd find is there's no views in GA4. All the data actually sits at the property level, as opposed to Universal Analytics, where really at the property level you could change the settings, etc., but nothing really else. Everything happens at the view level. The other interesting change here is this availability of data stream section. So if we click onto this, you'd find that you need to create, because it's built to track really all the different traffic sources, you'll probably have to build a traffic source per data stream. For example, this is Indago Digital's website, so we don't really have an app anywhere on any of the platforms, so we have just the one data source or data stream. But obviously, if you have multiple sources of traffic, you'll build multiple data streams. Google Ads linking, again, if you have Google Ads account, definitely link it to really straight away, because that'll obviously enhance your data as well. And the BigQuery linking as well. So if you have any, if you are an existing user of BigQuery and you are using it with your GA properties, it's highly recommended that you do the same under GA4 as well. I think that was about it for now. As I said, this was supposed to be just a quick kind of overview, just to let you guys know what actually it is and what the interface actually looks like. Happy to take any questions if